Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Show Style and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course, and as you can see from the title of this video, the angle that I want to focus on is why it is so important that Kyle Ivanko, former COO of Canvas Beauty, has gone to social media to express his work experience working with Stormi still and their update that they are no longer working together. I want to talk about the basic corporate America, we're going to push you out, we're going to set you up to let you go type of thing, type of experience. So that's why him making that post is really like he has spoken out for everyone who can relate. Everyone who can relate to being pushed out after you give it your all. So there are a few points that I want to talk about now, but first I ask that you please hit the like button on this video. Then YouTube will recommend this video to more people who perhaps want to hear all of the different commentaries surrounding Kyle no longer working for Canvas Beauty. And if you have not already done so, please subscribe to Show Style and Spirit. I would definitely love to have you. I want to give a shout out to Here for Hot Tea. She broke this story last night. She went through each of Kyle's 10 slides. I was in the chat. I was in the bushes, just taking it all in. I was in shock. It's a trip when like I go to the gym and go walk at the park and then I come home and it's like, oh my gosh. The Love and Marriage Huntsville cast, that is what they do to you every single time. So I was just taking it in, all of the info that Here for Hot Tea was presenting to us. And the one comment that I left, it was just right before she ended the live. I said that Stormi tried to hit him with a non-compete as she was letting him go. You put the non-compete in the job offer letter. If for anyone who has started a new job and you e-sign a job offer letter, it includes information about a non-compete, that you would not work in that industry for one of their competitors. It's usually like 12 months or 24 months. I said, oh my gosh, she tried to hit him with a non-compete as she's letting him go. Who does that? Who's going to agree to that? That is ridiculous. And it's kind of embarrassing. Obviously, Canvas Beauty does not have a legitimate human resources department, and there's so many inconsistencies. Of course, I'm not going to go through each of the slides because you can definitely check that out on Here for Hot Tea's channel. I saw where Queen Sheba has given her analysis on this situation, and I'm sure lots of other content creators have spoken about it as well. The only thing that I do want to point out, it's so interesting. She, at the end of their collaboration, she treated him like a low-level employee, just with the fits of the rage. I felt like, because he kept describing his head was spinning, and so that spoke to me, his shock, probably anxiety, and it probably showed up in his physicality, perhaps stomach cramps, tightness of the chest. And he's just like, what was that? And what is going on? And I feel like there's some sort of disconnect because when he says that in April of 2023, he and Stormi agreed that he would be her partner and they agreed to split equity and profits. And then later on, she's like, send me a list with all of your job duties. And she yelled at him and said, out of everyone that I've worked with, including those who allegedly stole from her, you were the worst. That's just kind of lowering him to like a low-level employee, no longer a partner. So I just wonder, did they ever outline what that meant for him to be a partner? I also, I've never been an entrepreneur outside of my rental property, and then I was the only person on the deed. But when I think of equity, I think of, okay, whatever Kyle brought to the table, this is worth this percent equity in the company. So if a company is worth $100,000, and someone owns 10% equity in the company, they own 10,000 of that 100,000 valuation, if that makes sense. So I don't know what his equity portion was. He's using the word split that almost suggests 50%, but I just can't imagine. I would hope Stormy would not agree to just let someone get 50% equity unless they were investing in the business. I know that also within those 10 slides, he said at one point he forewent one of his month's income, his pay, and he invested 30 to 40,000 into the company. Now, we were always told that Stormy Steele was a millionaire, was worth millions, her business was worth millions. So 30 to 40,000, that investment into a company that's worth seven figures, I mean, that's just like about 3 or 4%. That's like peanuts. So I'm just wondering, what did that all involve? It had to have been much deeper than him investing that 30 to 40,000. She had to also have been looking at how hard he'd been working. Now, it has been reported that allegedly another blogger reported that he, over the 18 months that he worked for her, he did earn $3 million. So it sounds like, though, that he was definitely worth that just from turning around the customer service experience, sending out the customized emails, apologizing. Obviously, she asked him to also go to bat for her in the comment sections on some videos. He did that as well. He filmed the scene on Love and Marriage Huntsville. Last night, when I was reading his 10 slide post on Instagram and I was watching Here for Hot Tea, of course, I thought back to season 6 when we first met Kyle on the show. A lot of people were thinking that Stormy just hired him for that scene. Some people actually left comments on a video that I did, like a commentary, a recap of the episode. They said, oh, that was just acting. That was just pretending. She didn't hire that guy. And, something inside me said, no, I think that she's hired him. But I always thought that Kyle was hired on a restructuring level. I figured he was hired to basically be the cleanup man, please apologize to these customers and, help us fulfill the orders. I kind of felt like for anyone who has worked in banking, I've worked at a bank before as a personal banker. The joke was, you did everything. If the bank tellers were backed up, you jumped behind the teller line and went to a window. For people who needed to open up new accounts, if they wanted to take out securities, investments, you did that. You referred them to people, you opened up new accounts, you helped them with maintenance if there was something on an existing account that they needed to work on. And then the joke was, and you also go up on the roof. You did. So that's how I saw Kyle. I saw Kyle as Stormy Steele's, personal banker equivalent at Canvas Beauty, where he just did everything. He was an extra body to fulfill those orders. He probably also managed the online commerce, because I felt like that was where she struggled. I always felt like Stormy's her top priority was to get products out to the retailers, the brick and mortars, and then she struggled to stay on top of her online commerce. That was booming because now you've chosen to be on a reality TV show and everyone wants to check out your products, and then you come out with body glaze. It looks really cute. It's supposed to smell really good. It's definitely attractive, right? I was always anxious about ordering because I was like, if I don't get my stuff, I am going to lose my ish. So I did not want to experience that. So I've never ordered anything from Canvas Beauty, never ordered the body glaze. But I just saw Kyle as like the cleanup man. He was going to do everything and whatever she needed, especially when I learned he was in people's comment sections on videos. I was like, oh yeah, she hired him to just be like a clone in all of her departments. Whatever she needed him to do, he would do it, and that's just how I figured. That's just how I saw him. And I can tell that he also, in my opinion, he seems to be behind the TikTok success. I think he probably said, we really need to get you on there. That will expand your customer territory. It'll be all sorts of generations of people, different races, everyone who goes onto TikTok to shop, they'll find and then you'll probably perhaps break records and people will want to cover stories about you. I think that he had that vision, and I think that, he worked to make that happen. But what I find interesting, it just seems there's some sort of disconnect between with an agreement to split equity and profits. And then it's like, well, send me a list of everything that you do. So I want to talk about some things. I just want to talk about how, like, how she kind of came at him a little differently. And I feel like that was her setting up the stage to let him go. I am convinced that she definitely spoke with her lawyer once she was ready to let him go. I think she took selling over $1 million worth of products in one day on TikTok as like the symbol or the sign that it was okay to let him go. And then on Thursday, July the 18th, let me back up one paragraph. So when they were returning back to Alabama after the $1 million worth of products, he said that he and Stormi have had their business disagreements, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. Okay. Then he says that he talks to Stormi on Thursday, July the 18th, and she says that she wants to get a business valuation, which is a 409A. He agreed because he's like, yeah, I want to get like that accurate number of where the business is valued at. I'm sure he will want that too, especially since allegedly they had an agreement to split equity and profits. I'm also assuming that he never truly experienced any split equity paychecks or profits, because for him not to know their actual valuation, how can you tell that you're getting those split equity checks, that money, if you don't even know the valuation of the company? So then he says he reminded Stormi about the importance of keeping books clean. And then he was immediately met with rage, like a switch flipped. So when I read that, I said, oh, yeah, I've experienced that before. Because, like, there have been times when people, all of a sudden they want to find issues with your work performance. And I'm like, well, I'm a workhorse. They can't get me on attendance. I'm the one. I've always had coworkers, black, white, ask me, when do you take days off? They can't say that I have a bad attitude. And I definitely put in the effort. I'm a hard worker. Where is this coming from? Why is the switch flipping? So I was like, okay, she's setting the stage to find issue with him and to, have a reason to be mean to him and make it uncomfortable and harsh, those push factors so that you want to leave a job. Also, being met with rage sounds like she was operating from a place of pride. She was easily offended because he said, I reminded her of the importance of keeping the books clean, definitely suggesting that they were not clean. He must have gotten an audit done, and the auditors found some discrepancies with the books. So then he had that knowledge. That's what I'm guessing. And audits are not cheap. And, they can be very extensive. But that is something that I noticed. I'm like, oh, she is setting the stage. So then he says that Stormi immediately asked for a full list of everything that he did. And I found that to be interesting because it's like, why the heck can't she produce a list for her own records? I would want to know what everyone does. I'm sure her cousin Junior, he probably could only do a couple of things to stay focused, so she knew what he did. Why is it when it came to Kyle, you want that list? I like I said, I've owned a rental property. I sold it in April. But if I owned a company, especially someone we're supposed to be business partners and splitting equity, I would definitely already know what his job duties are. I felt like when she asked Kyle for that list, it was to forward the email to her attorney. So the attorney was getting organized in case they would ever end up in court against Kyle. They could be able to say, well, Your Honor, he did all of these things, and he's trying to say that he was splitting equity and profits. This is not a business partner, wouldn't just do these things, like this was an employee, and this is why we let him go because we allegedly paid him this amount of money over 18 months. And this is just what you know what I'm saying? I felt like the attorney wanted more knowledge of this situation. So he asked for the list of job duties. And that was something that Stormi couldn't organize in her thoughts. And she probably wasn't clear because, again, I think Kyle was the cleanup man and just did whatever she needed him to do, baby, to make it through the month and to just get the company more organized. And of course, Kyle said he was dumbfounded at the accusations. That is how you feel, that corporate American work experience. And I know that she's in the beauty industry. She's not corporate, but baby, she definitely got that corporate American spirit on her because this is setting up the okey doke. And if I'm right that she spoke with her attorney first, the attorney may have put her up on game about corporate America, telling her what to do. So then, they've had all of the phone conversations. He said his head was spinning. That's that mind when, they want to stress you out, make it uncomfortable so that you just say, F it, I'm going to leave, or let me at least start looking up new jobs. And I felt like that's what she was doing to him. And then, of course, he received the letter that he was fired, as of Monday, July 22nd. And he tried to do what a lot of people would do when they put that pressure and make it uncomfortable. He tried to take a leave of absence. His head was spinning. Stormi was stressing him out, calling him over and over again. There's a problem. Well, give me a list of what you do, all this stuff. She was making it uncomfortable for him so that he would leave. He asked for a letter of leave of absence. He was probably hoping to earn some money for a couple of months while he looked for a new job, went on the interviews, and then would finally start. But she didn't even want to do the LOA. She didn't want to pay him. So she let him know that he was terminated as of that same day. So she would not have to give any sort of income. And that's the corporate American work experience. Now, why I feel like he took it to social media, because it's after you've been done wrong. Yes, I know you may find it unprofessional. He's also a millennial. Like even for me, like from the time I was like 18, social media was out. Black Planet, the very first piece of social media was invented by a Black man. He invented Black Planet. He's now a professor at one of the Ivy League colleges. I'm a nerd like that. So like within the past year, I was like, that guy, I can't think of his name right now, who invented Black Planet. I remember Oprah interviewing him because she was just so fascinated with this platform. And we were all in our dorm rooms, just chatting with people from all over. Then he let like the nasty people just start uploading PORN to it and ruined it. And then white people came out with their version, which was MySpace. And then after that, we had Facebook. But it all started with Black Planet. So like I'm used to like having virtual friends, virtual conversations, it not being a big deal, and when someone has done you wrong, they keep calling you and going off on you and your head is spinning. You tried to take a leave of absence, they fire you. No, you're like, what the? So you want it to be out there. He's a human being. He's having a human experience. He just got screwed, no lube, no KY. So he did a very human thing. He expressed himself on social media. Yes, he wanted the content creators in the LAMH sector to report on it. He wants all of us to know. I was in y'all comment sections. He was probably working like 12-hour days, plus flying out to help out with the TikTok show, producing the TikTok show, coming up with that display, setting it all up. In him, and he's seeing things get better with the company, and then like when it just all blows up to shit, you're like, huh? It's traumatizing. So I get it. And full disclosure, when I was being sexually harassed by two men, they both happened to be Black. One was single, one was married. Okay. The married one was really popular. All of the goofy white people, they think we all look alike. So because he had a bald head, they would gas him up and tell him he looked like Tupac. And really, he looked like a chocolate Kermit the Frog. He was married. He was bothering me. The single one was ghetto with kids all over town. And the single one day he was like, we were in having a team meeting, sitting in one of the conference rooms. He sat next to me and he was like, I like my women thick, in front of all these white people. I knew he was talking about me. It was embarrassing. I talked about it on my personal social media. One of my coworkers, a white male, he went to HR. HR contacted me, pulled me in a room. I totally explained to them that meeting where he said that, the stares at me, the trying to always brush up against me wherever I ate lunch, just ridiculousness. And they got the tip from a coworker. Then he gets moved to another team, doesn't sit anywhere near the division that I was in. That male coworker, he said, Ebony, I'm the one who spoke up for you. I saw your post and I remembered that meeting. And I said, oh shit, I remember he said that. And he spoke up on my behalf because I wasn't comfortable because the other ninja was married and popular, and you just feel like people are going to judge you. And I was just expressing myself, minding my business, and somebody spoke up for me. But when I saw Kyle's post, I could relate to it because it's effed up. So I hope that at some point Kyle no longer feels the trauma, the anxiety, the tightness in the chest, the stomach pains over what has happened. I believe, like, legally, I don't think your former employer can like bash you if someone was to ever call for a reference. In other words, I just don't see this harming him with finding future employment. But I bet this is really urging him to really focus on his company that he co-founded and be an entrepreneur, because the corporate American work experience will make you an entrepreneur, because it is so effed up how you dedicate your time to a company. You spend more time physically, you spend more time away from your kids because you're at this office. You may take work home. You spend time in traffic. If you live in the north, you're scraping the snow off your car. Then you got to hype yourself up to go into the building, all that. So I feel bad. I'm glad, it's been reported allegedly he did definitely earn some amazing money in that 18 months. But, it sounds like he don't want to be cheated out of anything either. And then is he going to be able to find out the true valuation of the company? So you definitely want your job description laid out in writing. And there should have been a job offer letter. Obviously, there was not, because out of all his details, he would have said, she asked me for a list of everything that I did, which was a far cry from the initial job offer letter that I e-signed. At that time, I was just supposed to do X, Y, and Z. But by the time she let me go, I'd been doing all of these different things. So I get why he went to social media. I do not blame him one bit. But I hope that you all had a great day today. I did. I cannot complain. It's going to be a wonderful Wednesday. And of course, everything that I've said is alleged and just my opinion. And I will talk with you all very soon. Be sure to position yourselves for a smooth morning. Whatever you have to do tonight, lay out your clothes or prepare your lunch or make overnight oats if that's what you like for breakfast. Go ahead and do that tonight. And, journal, get your thoughts out of your head, stand in the mirror and say your affirmations. And I will talk with you all soon. Bye.